I ended up having this experience where I saw this glow of light, and I went through this doorway, and on the other side of the doorway was this very lush rolling landscape, and there was these houses built in the side of hills. And I ended up going into one of those, and I saw paintings on the walls, children's paintings. And I went upstairs, and my future self was sitting in front of the window, overlooking.
Do you see like gray hair? Like,
yeah, I still had the long hair.
yeah, I love
so
it.
it's a good sign. I got to keep it.
Yeah.
But then I saw my future self, and I sat beside myself, and I looked at my future self, and I said, "How do I get to this place?"
Yo!
Nerds. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Nüvida. Let's talk. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're really thrilled to have Aaron, a true advocate for regenerative living and the power of nature. As a dedicated permaculture consultant, he's deeply immersed in sustainable practices that not only benefit the environment but also enhance our well-being. Aaron's journey is an inspiring testament to the transformative influence of nature, evident in his DIY cold plunge that embodies his commitment to holistic wellness. Join us for an insightful conversation with Aaron as we explore his profound connection with nature and his remarkable journey towards regenerative living. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having us on, bro.
I'm honored. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's been quite an experience already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we did a cold plunge, we've been in the sauna, and I genuinely feel very grateful to be here and talking to you. And yeah, there's no better way.
Very present.
I do. I genuinely do.
Like, I don't even care that about my phone whatsoever. I'm just trapped in this moment right now.
Time is irrelevant.
Yeah, literally.
All that matters is right here in front of us.
Yeah. So, bro, what got you here?
Well, a lot of past experiences that were impactful in both positive and negative ways. I had a traumatic event when I was younger. When I was 14, my father passed away when I was young. And then after that, it was addictive tendency after addictive tendency, going from video games to alcohol to drugs to workaholic, getting to a point where a lot of those combined, and got to a point and I crashed mentally. I was consumed by the chaos of social media, the political divide, everything that was going on in the world kind of came together at the same time. And luckily I crashed mentally and not physically. There was a lot of times where I thought I maybe was not going to be here any longer, present. So I'm very grateful to live and still exist. And then at the age of 28, I had that crash, and I took a year off. Luckily enough, I worked hard and I had a house to sell because I was dabbling in real estate investing. So I had a house to sell, took time off, ended up finding spirituality, connected with the power of food, connected with the inner power that I had, and then the tools that we do have to unlock that power. And then the power of community. There's so much power in just the things that we do every day and just aren't aware or conscious of it.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, when they say they have that crash, they take it negatively. Like that came for a bad reason. Can you kind of dabble into that experience, that awakening maybe?
Yeah. I look back at it and I see it I look at it as it was an experience in itself, and I could have came out way worse. So I'm grateful that I had that experience, that I came out alive, and that I am able to share that experience with others, because a lot of people may be going through the same experiences, or they may be getting closer to it, or they're trying to come out of it. And so being able to share my experience can help others in whatever place they are in life. Yeah. Even someone that's in a good place but looking to evolve to the next place. That's where we now are hosting these events, these retreats that are going to help people unlock more.
That's important what you said, because I feel like you don't necessarily have to be waiting for the crash. A crash can just be you just constant in that negative energy for a long time. That's a crash within itself.
And I started to see every week was a loop. I worked hard all week to just go home and party on weekends, and then I'd feel like crap on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing every Sunday I felt so much regret, and I'm like, why am I regretting an entire week? And then I know I'm going to feel the same way next week. And so I started to realize that this has to break. I have to break this loop. And unfortunately, I had to quit a lot of things to get to that point. But it's something that there's other tools that people can harness to get out of that toxic lifestyle or routine that is holding them back or potentially destroying them.
Was a year a timeline you gave yourself, or is that just how long it took you to reach your next self?
That was the time it took. I didn't really have a plan. Honestly, I quit my job. I moved to where my mom is in Grand Bend in a very peaceful space, and I'm grateful for that. But I ended up getting aligned with this person I followed on Instagram. They were hosting a retreat, or they were facilitating at a retreat, and it was something I've never done before because I was in the construction field. Ate like shit, ate fast food. But I knew there was more to life, so I went to this retreat on a limb. It was a 3-day very immersive one. There was breath work, there was cold exposure, there was nutritionally dense food, and I ended up connecting with all of that. And then I took it back with me, and I started implementing it into my life, and then started to see all these changes. But then I always looked at life differently. Like I knew there was more to it because I knew at a young age that it could be taken from us at any point. Watching my father pass away in front of me, it was traumatic, and we all may come across those experiences in life that are traumatic, and we need to be prepared how to handle that, and then to not just prepare for that, but just every day appreciate every moment that you live.
Yeah. So what were some things that you got out of that retreat that made you like change your mindset? Like were there some like enormous experiences that you experienced?
Well, like I went there, and I was never into vegan food, and I was kind of forced to eat vegan food because that was all that was there.
Yeah.
But it was great. You felt connected to the food. Like we all acknowledge where the food came from, and that is a powerful practice that we sometimes look past. We always just grab food and we eat quick. We don't take the time to sit and appreciate the land that food gave, where the food came from, the land, the hard work that went into actually salvaging and harvesting that product. And there's so much more to even just a connection, sitting around a table with people, sharing in that experience of eating.
Yeah. No, and like for example, this drink right here, can you explain kind of what we did before the podcast even started? Because like I did feel very connected to this, you know what I mean? And we did respect, like you said, like Mother Nature, and like we respected like where it came from, and like it's a piece of gold in my hands, it feels like. Weirdly enough,
it's so like
you could just pour this and we just start drinking, but it wasn't like that. So explain like the importance of that. Like,
so this cacao that we experienced is ethically sourced from Peru, and so much love goes into the harvesting of it, and then we take it in and we allow it to open our hearts and to warm our bodies and to create a vulnerable and honest experience. And so we use it in practice during our retreats, but in this space where we're talking and being vulnerable and being able to share experiences that are going to help a lot of people. And that is the important part of connecting with the food and where it comes from. And that's something that we don't do every day, even with our everyday meals. Yeah. And a lot of the times it's because we have no idea where the food comes from. And down in Peru and down in South America, they're very connected to their farms. And we have completely disconnected from that way.
Do you feel like that's like consciously doing better in our body because we're respecting it before we put it in our body?
Our bodies know our bodies know when something's nutrient dense, and it appreciates when we feed it powerful and in food that it can process. And this is the type of thing that opens that heart. But then when it comes to like your everyday meals, when you feed it nutrient dense foods and it's not toxic, your body is thanking you. And it might be going through some changes because you might have been used to eating poorly, and your body is maybe going to go through some withdrawal. It may even go through a bit of a purge. But it will thank you long term if you start appreciating your body and fueling it well. Yeah.
When you came back from like that retreat, did you fully change everything in your life, or was it like a slow progression? Like you said, you ate fast food. Was that something you cut right away, or?
It was a slow progression, but it was a spark that I needed. The spark, and there was a lot of sparks there too, which was great. And one of the things that I got from that was journaling and taking things that were taking things in my mind, putting it on paper. So I documented all the feelings I had, the experiences I went through, and then I was able to continue to work on each one, and not to. I see it as a metaphor, like planting a seed in a desert, a deserted landscape, and allowing that tree to come to life and grow. And then when you go to plant another tree nearby, having one tree already established helps in the growing of that second tree. And every time you try to grow that new seed, one of those new things you want to implement in your life, the more that you've already worked on, the easier it is for all these to come to light.
Yeah. How did you know that you had to work on yourself during that crash? Because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of chaos and distractions, but were you reading self-help help books, or did you have a role model? Like, how did you know that it was the inner you that had to get rewired, not like anything else?
So I when my father passed, I saw the impact that he had on people,
Yeah.
just from the people that came to his funeral, his visitation, and that really left a mark on me. Like, I had no idea that my father left that much of an imprint on people, and I always thought, I want to leave an impact too. When I leave this world, I want to make sure that people appreciated my existence and that I was actually able to give back and to help people. And so I always wanted to make sure that when I grew up, I wanted to do something that helped people. And unfortunately, I went down a path where I was maybe harming more people than good. Yeah. But then that also kickstarted it. When I came out of that toxic way, I was like, I am focusing on healing and helping people, not just helping people. Because when you help people, say in these retreat settings, they take that and they go and it affects their lives. It affects the people that they're connected to. It affects the environment around them. And that's where I see that you can make such a positive and impactful change in the world, is by changing every interaction you have with someone. It's a ripple effect.
Did you have to change your circle that like you were like hanging out with, and did people kind of receive it like did they receive you differently because of this experience you went through and you're trying to share with others?
It was tough because we're so used to that group, and maybe you feel whole in that group and connected to those individuals, but you're connected through a toxic way. And so at first it's tough and you feel alone. And the one powerful part about being alone is you become bored, and that stillness is where powerful parts of you can come out. You can dive deeper into yourself if you utilize it well. But if not, I'd say the best thing would be to go and try and find that group that you're searching for. Get out of your comfort circle. And there's groups like these spiritual events, having these gatherings. There's people that are like-minded searching for something. And we've all been through experiences, and we can all share and help each other. And being closed off in a group, you limit yourself.
What support did you have early on during your transformation? Because like I feel like you said, being alone is valuable, but like, did you have any other support other than you?
Luckily, I had my mother to allow me to come in for 3 months, and I also had a lovely girlfriend at the time who's going to be my wife to be next year. And we've been through hell and back together, and that was a great support too. But just being honest and vulnerable, there are people out there that are willing to help going through. So if you don't have maybe a supported mother or a significant other that can help, there are groups of people that would be very excited to be able to share and be a support for others.
Yeah, and that's super important. Like, I'm happy you mentioned that, because I've been grateful enough and lucky enough to have a significant other that has helped me through like I've been dating, well, now my wife, but I've been dating her for like 6-7 years, and like she's seen the whole journey from me, going to Queen's University first year till where I am now, you know what I mean? And she's rode it with me, but there is help out there for those who don't have that, you know what I mean? And it is as valuable. You know what I mean?
I think everybody needs that one person, no matter what it is. But I think it definitely helps with the development. And I was gonna say, with you having your partner, did you always feel like you could always like this journey was gonna be for both of you, or did you find you had to do it for yourself?
I wasn't sure at that point. Like, it was a struggle to figure out like if what I was like, the path I was on was meant to be, like whether that was the career, that was the toxic habits, even the relationship, because it can all be cloudy and you're not sure if this is what you're meant to do or your future. But then finding peace and then being able to really feel that connection to the food, to the loved ones around you, that's when you start realizing that you are where you're meant to be, and that those are the people that are meant to come with you. And when you start to surrender and let go, you'll be able to feel the energy of others, and you can sense when someone is positive and a positive impact on you or not, and you just let them drift out and let the ones that are there to impact you positively drift in.
Yeah. One thing I do want to talk on, I know we talked about in the sauna, but like that vision experience that you had during breathing, I think that was like incredible when we were talking about it there. Do you mind sharing that experience and like how breathing can take you to a space where you never thought?
Yeah. Well, in that retreat that I first went to, we did a 45-minute, very, very in-depth breath work. You get to a point where your hands are clasping up, and in that 45-minute, the whole focus is trying to approach your future self. So at the end of it, I ended up having this experience where I saw this glow of light, and I went through this doorway, and on the other side of the doorway was this very lush, rolling landscape, and there was these houses built in the side of hills. And I ended up going into one of those, and I saw paintings on the walls, children's paintings. And I went upstairs, and my future self was sitting in front of the window,
Like when you're older,
overlooking.
do you
this.
see like gray hair? Like
Yeah, I still had the long hair.
I love
It's
it.
a good sign. I got to keep it.
Yeah.
But then I saw my future self, and I sat beside myself, and I looked at my future self, and I said, "How do I get to this place?" And he told me, "Put your hands out." I put my hands out, and he rubbed his hands on mine and left dirt and just said, "Go create." And this was a very powerful experience for me, because that was a year that I was off and I wasn't doing anything. But before that, I was grinding and I was hustling and I was flipping houses and I was working construction and I was doing nothing for a year. And I knew at that moment that I needed to do that, but in a different way. I can't be in the field doing all that work. I need to be focusing on the vision and seeing that vision of what I can create. But now being the one to be able to bring all the people to collaborate together and bring these visions to life, it's crazy how one vision does it. And that was breathwork. And that was a time when I wasn't clear-minded. So it was difficult to get to that point where you have those experiences. Mm-hmm. But there's ways, like now going into a 30-minute sound bath, I can come out with flashbacks. I can dive deeper into memories. I can go into the future and see experiences. And everybody has this ability. It's just we're often too distracted.
Yeah. That's incredible. Like I feel like people need to hear that. They feel like maybe the only way to get there is if they take mushrooms or if they do this or that, but like you can do it with your own breath. You know, that's the most amazing thing to me. How important is breath work? Like what exactly is it doing like physiologically like for you?
For me, I love it because it allows me to stay in the present state, because oftentimes we get into these short breath moments and we are in a constant mode of fight or flight, and we're not able to visually see everything that's occurring in front of us. And that can help with anything. Like even if a car veers in front of you and you're not paying attention, like those moments you're able to approach those a lot more focused when you have the power of breath behind you and the ability to sleep. Like I used to have racing minds every time I would go to sleep, and now I can do breath work, and in 30 seconds all of a sudden I'm waking up the next morning. And that was a big thing for me. I was sleeping 3 hours a night maybe before, and not good sleep. Now sleep is so important, and I never really appreciated it. And so 8 hours minimum, and it's deep sleeps. These are like important things that we try. Like I used to work all the time, and I'm like, if I get 3 hours but I work for 21, that's a win. But I work for 8 and I work for 6 and I get as much done as 24 hours of my old time, I'm coming out on top and I still have spare time. So it's a way to you got to analyze where your effort is.
What do you think causes so much chaos? Like in people, like you know, everyone's busy day to day. Like what is that?
I guess it could be like I didn't really feel fulfilled. I didn't know what my purpose was. I was grinding. I was chasing like a net worth and a higher income every year, and I wasn't connected to any of the projects. I had no passion. And when I took that step back and I realized that like my skill sets and my interests, there were passion projects that I came up with, but I would have never thought of those. I could have just kept grinding until the day I died. But I took that time to in those moments of stillness, dive deeper into what you can bring to life with your skill set.
So it kind of felt like you're being led by ego, and then you had to let that go. And
comparison, you're comparing to others, and everybody follows people on Instagram, and you get caught up in what they have, what they're doing, and you don't really see what's going on in the background. Like you might see someone that's happy and successful, but deep down they may be very upset. And
that's probably the most likely case for many of those people.
100%. Yeah. So with everything that like going through this journey, how did we kind of end up now where we're sitting?
So when I was transitioning out and I ended up connecting with these passion projects, and I started to realign with my health, and I was like, okay, I can go back into the workforce. I can start pursuing these passion projects on the side. And so I still, now I work full time, but now these passion projects, I'm finding that I can delegate and empower people to be a part of these projects. Before I was doing everything myself, and now I just see myself as one that likes to collaborate with others, build relationships, and focus on redesigning the broken systems that we exist in, because there are so many of them. But now we're sitting here in the sanctuary, and this was brought to me by a connection of a landowner who saw my vision, wants to bring it to life. Now he's seeing so much healing occurring in his land, and now we're going to be able to share this story and bring inspiration to more people.
And how was that first interaction with the landowner originally?
So when I walked into the property with my realtor and I saw him and he had wooden beads on his around his neck, I'm like, all right, we might have some connection. So we started talking, and we found out we had the same break. 28 was the year that we both broke, and he's older than I am, but then we had so many other similarities, and he was so connected to this land spiritually. He had experiences here that are profound, and he didn't want to sell it, but he financially had to.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached him and I said, I have this vision. What if I brought this vision to life on your property and you were able to benefit from an income, and then you could keep the property? And he's like, that's perfect. Yeah. And that's how the collaboration came.
Did you have like a pitch deck ready? Did you know how you were going to get the deal done? Like, or was it just like the women in the moment and I got to figure it out?
I live this. Like when I talk, I talk about my passions. I think about it all the time. It doesn't cloud my memory, but it's like who I am. Yeah. Bringing these experiences to life is who I am. So when I talk to someone, I can say, hey, this is what we can do. This is how it can be a win-win for you. And it can provide support to like the community and potentially the world.
Yeah.
Did you already have like a network or people you were bringing to the sanctuary beforehand, or was it something that you started and then people just started coming?
So when it came to the sanctuary, I knew I wanted to host retreats. I hosted one once, and it was just like family members just to try it out. I've been to a lot of retreats, and I've found that some of them there was a lot of ego with the people that host them, and it wasn't really for everyday people. It was very woo-woo, deep on the spiritual side. And I knew that there was something we needed to bring this to more people that are the ones in trouble. Like I come from the construction background. Not many people in construction want to really look out for themselves in this sense. So I wanted to create a space and an experience that those people can come and relate to and be empowered by.
Yeah, like there's no barrier, and the no better transition than being in the construction field to this. Like I'll be honest, because I used to work construction too, and it's just like like not that it's a toxic environment, but like people are just like having fun, joking around, but like really escaping through like smoking hash, like drinking, like drinking, smoking cigarettes. Like it's like that's the culture, but we're all having fun, we're all joking, we're all laughing, but that's like really the core of it. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like it's incredible that like the everyday man, like not everyday man, but like majority of men are in that kind of state, and then for you to be that example is special.
And it's normalized too, and the problem is we have this environment where we can learn so much and we can see it in a different light. And before I didn't see it in that way, and I hated my job, and I had a great job, but I wasn't in the mindset to see it. And now I'm at that same job again, and I love it, and I see it like even getting paid to be at work, to work out. Like most of us have to pay to go to a gym. If we have a physically demanding job, we get paid to work out, which is like just little benefits that we can now see life in.
For sure. Do you find like anyone who's like in the army, like would they like come here? Like I think that's a big benefit too. People who are coming like from like
trauma and stuff like that,
like,
try to
I could see that. We haven't really dove deep into like the assistance with addictions and assistance with like PTSD, but we see that this has benefited a lot of people, and not simply focusing on those fields, but people that have that experience, I'm sure would benefit greatly from this.
100%.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful piece of land, bro. And I'm still feeling the stillness and the calmness, and I know that's like one of your pillars, right? It's stillness. Like, can you emphasize on the other ones and kind of elaborate on them?
Movement's another, right?
Yeah. So the 4 pillars that we focus on are movement, stillness, nourishment, and breathing. And so we like to focus on them because of the 4 things that are impactful and powerful in all of our lives every day. And we all do it, but we aren't aware and conscious of it. So in stillness, when we were doing the cold plunge, you're in stillness, but you're in the cold, and your breath is what you focus on. And then all of a sudden, eventually, you're now in stillness and your breath isn't really apparent anymore. And now your mind is clear and you're able to focus in conversation like this. So practices like that can make a profound effect on your life. And when we do sound baths in this sanctuary, 30 minutes, all you have is the vibration of the music. You don't have any breath work going with it. And I can jump into past experiences, past memories, and future experiences.
What's a sound bath? Like, what makes it a sound bath?
So it's a bunch of crystal singing bowls. And they get tapped, and they let off a ring, and then you can wrap a piece of wood around the top, and it'll start increasing the pitch of that frequency. And the facilitator, they do it in a very beautiful way. And they can put you through this experience while you're just laying there, and you feel it, and you focus on the feeling of the vibrations in your body. You try to clear the mind, and you'll always have thoughts come in. We all do, like I still do. But just being able to see them as a thought and let them drift out, and then you focus on nothing again. And eventually, all of a sudden, that nothingness turns into exploration within.
And then you said you've had experiences doing this yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yesterday I had a powerful experience. I experienced the moment when I was younger and I almost drowned at a wave pool of all places in Florida.
Really?
And the experience was me seeing a guy pull me out of the water, but it was my father that told him to pull me out, and I had no idea my father was watching. And then seeing that my father back then was always watching me, and I could have passed away, I could have died if it was another minute. And then I went into a future experience where I was watching my children run through a regenerative farm that we hope to design someday. And then I was now the protector and watching them. So there's these connections that we also sometimes don't see that are extremely powerful.
Yeah.
With the regenerative farm, where did the passion for that come from?
So the passion came from the connection to food,
Yep.
but then again, seeing the broken systems and wanting to redesign them. So one of the powerful parts I saw was how we grow the food and where we source it. And it's very hard to find good regenerative farms. There are a lot here, but they focus on like one aspect, like cattle or just produce. But there's a way to integrate it all into a very thriving system that you can get a lot of outputs with a little bit of input. And so our dream is to focus on creating a regenerative farm that is actually highly profitable and very diverse, which is something that, coming from a real estate investing background, we all thrive to have a diverse income stream.
Yeah.
Something that actually grows exponentially with the years that go on, instead of just something that's stagnant, something that continues to produce income, and something that you could then leverage and actually grow and buy more land. And my dream is to compete with Big Ag.
Is there anything like this in Ontario right now?
Not that I'm aware of. No, there's regenerative farms that exist, and they have their flaws, but they don't have the ability to scale and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some in the States. There are some farms in the States, and those are the ones on our advisory team. There's some in Wisconsin and North Dakota, and they do extremely powerful things, and they don't combine the two skills together. But that's where we're finding, like, we collaborated and created the sanctuary. We're going to collaborate with all these advisors and create this regenerative farm that is going to produce so much for just the community, regrowing the ecosystem, and then healing the people and showing them how to connect with the land.
Yeah, and that's in Glencoe, you said?
Oh, so we don't know where that property will be yet. We're still looking for investors, and we have a lot of property that we see as potential, and we are always able to find new properties if one of those does pass us. But the Glencoe project is the multi-unit natural building that.
Oh yes, that's cool too.
Can you touch on that a little bit? I want to, because like I know you brought it up before, but could you explain like the whole idea behind that?
So again, when I was analyzing broken systems, I was in the house flipping, and I noticed that I put so much effort and energy into like bringing up the energy efficiency of homes that were improperly designed to begin with. So then I'm like, why am I doing this? This is a waste of my energy. So I'm like, we should design and build right the first time. So I came up with this concept of a scalable system where you can build one, or you could build up to 10 units depending on what the municipality allows. And it's a multi-unit natural building that has no primary cooling or heating source, and most of the products are sourced within a 100-kilometer radius. Awesome. Something that can be built at scale and can be built affordably. But the focus of these projects I saw was to be building them on regenerative farms, because when I was doing all my networking, I was realizing that a lot of these regenerative farms are needing people on site to live, to bring it to life, but they don't have housing on it, and it's difficult to do housing. So we found some loopholes in the way we can navigate the OBC, and now we're able to bring the first project to life in Glencoe. That's crazy. We're proposing a 3-unit there.
Yeah, and then I know you were talking about it at Mike's IDU. It's like the way it's on the land, the way the sun hits, like everything's calculated. Like, can you dabble into some of those things? Like,
so there's a concept, a way to build called an earthship, and it's a house that's built kind of in a mound. So you build it and then you bury it. The north, east, and west sides are buried, and it acts as a natural insulator. But then inside, there's a lot of thermal mass, which is either concrete or stone, or in the terms of an earthship, they're rammed earth tires. And then on the south side is all glazing. So in the low winter sun, the sun will penetrate and heat up all that thermal mass and radiate that throughout the winter. And then in the high summer sun, it'll shade and it'll cool naturally. But the problem with the earthships is they focus on a lot of manually intensive projects. So like they'll be ramming earth with sledgehammers into tires, and it can take 2 years to build these. So our project, we're looking at getting it down to like 2 months by using the ways that we conventionally build now, like processes, but using that design method of earth shifts.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
Have
bro.
you heard any pushback on like these ideas that you've had?
We will once we bring it to municipality, I'm sure.
That's true, probably.
But I am persistent and I'm prepared. I have quite a bit of information in my back pocket, and I have a lot of advisors on our team too that are looking to bring this to life. Because the problem I've seen, I've analyzed projects similar to this, what people have tried, and they do very diverse building concepts, and there's inefficiencies in the building design, and it takes so long to build. They don't have contingency plans when it has maintenance issues in 20 years. And so our project is natural products, simple design. It's supposed to have a 500-year lifespan on the outside.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's the problem I saw too. We build these homes to then be needing maintenance in 50 years, and as investors, we don't want to continue to put money into the products that we're trying to gain in from.
We're such a consumer, like people in the West especially, we just want to, what's new, what's up the trend, like, you know what I mean, like, oh, like this floor is so old school, let's put in a new floor that's going to be timeless, but in 20 years a person's going to take that old floor, and you know what I mean, like we're always wasting,
right? Even cars aren't built the same anymore, right? Like you'd have a car that lasts you 20 years before, now it's like maybe 10 if you're lucky. So it's like, I feel like we've almost went away from like that sustainable but like reliable living. And I think that earth mound idea, so like 500 years you said, or
that's the lifespan of the exterior of it.
That's crazy.
And do you feel like you're always gonna be in like the West, or do you feel like something draws you to like other places of the world?
So I was drawn to like South America and Northern Ontario and BC because of the way they lived. And me and my fiance were on this discussion, and we were trying to figure out, like, do we go to these places where it exists? And then we knew people that lived in those places that weren't happy where they were. And that's where we realized, like, it's not about where you are, it's about how you live and exist in that place. And we said, let's stay here, let's fight, let's make the way they live there accessible here. And it's coming. I'm excited.
That's so sick. I'm excited.
And no, that's really cool, man. And I guess can we tell the audience, like, you know, if they want to come experience this, like what is it that you have to offer, you and your team?
So currently we have retreats hosted here.
Yeah.
We've been hosting 6 people, so they're very intimate experiences. We have retreats once a month now, but in the new year we have a website being released, and people can access, even until then, they can look at our page and on eecoh.living, and we can maybe put that in.
We'll plug it in for sure.
The spelling's a little different, but and Eecoh in itself too is EECOH, and it stands for Ever Evolving Community of Hope.
Oh wow.
And I can even get into the deeper part of why we created that Instagram page. But so the retreats, 6 people, intimate experiences. We're looking to get it up to 1 a weekend, because it's going to be more accessible. And then we're also going to open up Sunday wellness time frame windows, where we have hydrotherapy sessions where we do the cold exposure with this beautiful view, the bald eagles flying, and then the sauna therapy, and then having some discussions and experiences in here where we can share and learn from other people. Like, we've had entrepreneurs come and find visions and ideas. We've had people just looking for a connection to people. There's something for everyone here.
Do you find you might, like, so right now you said you're full-time working, do you hope that like you can leave your job and just focus purely on something like this, or? So the dream is when we connect with investors and we're able to find and fund this rural property where we now bring this sanctuary retreat experience to life on a regenerative farm and connect people to the place where you can heal with these kind of settings, but also now with the food grown locally and in an ethical way on the land. And then we will be able to start producing this farm, and that's where my effort is then going to be focused.
How do you find the balance between getting that vision done and like rushing? Like do you find like you're rushing yourself, like you want to get it done so fast, or like you're being patient and letting it come to you? Like how do you find that balance?
You gauge it. Like, if I'm pressuring things and nothing's working out, I always take that as a sign and I just step back. And it's funny, whenever you step back, if you really watch, all of a sudden these things come to life. Like, I never thought that this would come to life. And I was never going to look at this property. And I was looking online one day. I'm like, you know what? I'll look at it. I went out, met this guy. Now this is coming to life. In the Glencoe project, I ended up getting connected to the owner of that through like a bunch of different people. Went to see their regenerative farm method because they do rotational grazing. And I told them about my vision. And they're like, we see that problem. We will fund your builds. So I just told people my vision, and now they're going to fund the first 3-unit natural building in Ontario.
That's so sick.
I love that. So you do have to step back for it to come quicker.
And I was putting a lot of pressure on like doing business plan refinements and trying to then pitch it to investors. And you're pitching to investor networks that maybe don't see the value in it. And a lot of people are looking so short term. They're looking for 12, like 1 year.
When am I getting my money back?
This much per year, when they don't see that there's a compounding interest, a compounding income generation through these regenerative farming practices done well. And that's where my focus is, making sure that these projects flow and they work. And when I was doing the business refinement, I wasn't seeing a lot of growth. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back from that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to look at the farms. I'm going to research the farms, meet the people. Yeah. Now all the projects are coming to life, and I haven't looked at a business plan in like 6 months, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's amazing though, how it just came to you.
If anybody wants to come and do a business plan for me, I'd be happy to. I'll stay out of that.
I love that. Let's dive into the Instagram. Like, what inspired you to create that Instagram?
So I was consumed with chaos on social media when I had my crash. That was one of the last things that kind of broke me. Yeah. And I just hated how there was so much division on it. And I was then a part of that division.
Yeah.
And so when I came out of that place, that dark place, and I knew what I wanted to do, I wanted to inspire people. I told my fiance, I'm like, let's make a page that focuses solely on our positive passion projects and inspiring people and bringing community together. Mm-hmm. And so we created Eecoh Living. And that showcases all the projects that we have. It showcases the sanctuary. It showcases the Glencoe multi-unit development. It showcases we have an urban homestead in the city. We have a DIY cold plunge kit that's affordable for people. And then we have hopefully this rural project, this rural regenerative farm project that's going to be huge and life-changing for a lot
What
of
made you
people.
create the cold plunge?
That's what I was.
So I wanted to get into cold plunge. Like, I was doing cold plunges in my tub at home. I was filling it with water, putting a bunch of ice in it. And I'm one that sees like waste, and I'm like, I'm wasting my energy doing that, and I'm wasting all this water when I have thirsty plants outside that would love them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got to think of something else. So I looked online and I saw some of the designs that people were doing, and then I saw the ones you could buy that were finished, and they were like $7,000 plus. And I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
And they even had inefficiencies in their build. So I'm like, I came up with this design of a cold plunge conversion, taking a deep freezer and converting it into an automated cold plunge. So now the cold plunge kit that I have is $1,000, and it mounts to a lid of a deep freezer, no tools needed, and you can do it in 10 minutes. And then you just open up you shut the off button, open up the lid, jump in for your duration, shut the lid, hit the on button, kicks on the chillers, turns it back to the temperature that you have set for.
Where can people buy this? Like
on our Eecoh Living page, you can DM us. We don't have the website launched yet for that, but yeah.
How many prototypes did you go through to actually get it? Because I remember you used to cut it, because I seen the first one you had, right?
I used to drill it, yeah. So that was the thing I found. I drilled it, and then it voids the warranty of the freezer. So then I came up with this idea. I'm like, let's try and make it so we don't void that, but then also something that people can, like, you don't even need scissors for this tool. You might need a knife to open the box that it gets delivered in, and that's about it. Everything else is done by hand. So I wanted to make something that keeps that warranty available, and then something that just makes anybody able to create it.
Yeah.
And to make it affordable, so more people can experience the powerful practices of cold plunge.
And how often do you cold plunge?
I do it like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I focus on trying to get like 11 minutes a week total. So I've hit my 11 minutes between today and yesterday.
Okay, cool. And what was, like, I guess, like, what have been the biggest things you've gotten out of cold plunging, like, through a long period of time? Because we only tried it once, and we've seen so many benefits already.
I love it, to be honest.
So I found like I had a lot of injuries through hockey, and still like they kind of came as I went on. Like, I'd heal from one, and another one come up, or another one would flare up, and then I found that the inflammation reduction from cold plunges was powerful. And even going into an uncomfortable experience like that makes you focus on the breath, and then your mind becomes clear. And so then you're able to just calm the mind and prepare yourself for uncomfortable situations. So like I mentioned, when you have a car veer in front of you, or if all of a sudden you're hit with a random bill that's like way higher than you thought, like a car repair or something, you're just prepared. You're prepared for anything.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how it can bring you to that like still moment. And then, like I was saying, like, it's weird how, like, after a minute or two, after that first 30 seconds, like, you're actually calm in the cold water. You know what I mean? Like, you can feel a layer of ice on top of you, but like, you're like, I'm not shivering, I'm not like stressing too much.
It was funny too, because like when I went in, I couldn't talk at all, but then the calmness and stillness just hits you, and then boom, you can just talk like everything's normal, and you're like, oh wow, this isn't so bad.
And how focused and alert do you feel right now?
Oh, amazing. Like, even at peace, I'm just feel like really peaceful right now. Like, and even to my body, like you said earlier, like feel for the tingliness. Like, I felt it instantly when you said that, and then like from there I could feel it go through my whole entire body.
And like this experience is not like any like other, in the sense of like you know, you go to the experiences like that woohoo stuff. It's nothing like that. Like I genuinely feel calm. I genuinely feel present, and like that. Like I was scared to go into that cold plunge. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna front. I was scared, especially seeing your reaction. I was like, holy.
Yeah, you did great. Yeah. It was the coldest. You warmed it up for us.
Yeah, yeah. No, but you did amazing, and like seeing you persevere through that, and then like you got out of the cold plunge, and then he's like, oh, you want to go in the sauna? You're like, no, I want to cheer like Ricardo on, and it's like, oh shit, now I gotta stay for you and you. but my point is like that whole experience together, and then going to the sauna, opening up in the sauna, man. Like I feel so blessed.
Yeah,
like I genuinely do, and people know me, and I'm not the type to like be like faking here, man. Like it's just like I genuinely feel very blessed and very like in this moment, and it's a very like unique experience.
And you become vulnerable, and you become honest, and that is a very powerful part of it. Just sitting in that sauna, looking across from someone, you might not know much about them, but then you have discussions and you learn about them, you learn their experiences, you connect with them deeper, and you'll never forget those moments when you're sitting in those spaces.
Yeah. And like you said, it's like vulnerable. Like you know, like I've been through my addictions. You know, I'm still going through stuff, but it's like one of those things where it's like this moment made me realize like it's, I don't know, it's really, you can get rid of it all. You can just let it all go.
Yeah.
And it's not that crazy. Like it's just like really immersing yourself with nature and with people. You know.
I think the wildest part too is like we're so distracted by like alcohol or drugs, like social media, all this, and like literally it just took us to go into cold water, sit there and motivate each other, talk it out, and then like that dopamine was like, I don't know, it was one of like bigger than I've had from anything else in the last long time. Like it felt like, I don't know, I don't even have words to put it, but like that dopamine feeling I got after coming out of that, and even where I'm at now, I haven't felt that probably in the last 2-3 years at least.
And it's like we were talking about, like I feel like innate we look for these experiences, like every human, right? Like every one of us, but like we find it through easy access. We find it through stuff that's right there, or like you can buy this drug, like whatever. My point is like, but when you can get the same satisfaction through these sort of experiences, and that's what kind of like opened my mind. Like, and I was like, what the heck? Like,
and we are powerful beings of creation, and we are now living in a world where it's normalized to not pursue any of that, to pursue your powers or to create. And when you connect with the power of yourself and then unlock the abilities that you have, and open your mind to coming up with passion ideas, like it's incredible what a short amount of time being disciplined will do for you.
Yeah, man. And I kind of want to dabble into like the food now, because I know you love the plants, you know, you respect the plants. Like can we talk about that, like the agriculture and how you keep it around your house? And
so at our place in London, we have an urban homestead, and it has some pretty cool designs that we've tried out for the first time in a city setting. So we actually got a grant from the City of London to do a rain garden. Most of the rain gardens, what they do is they have an eaves trough that just comes off the roof, and it goes into like a pond kind of thing, and the water fills up, and then the plants kind of thrive off that water, but then it overflows and goes to the road. But what we did is we actually have a rainwater harvesting tank that collects our water, naturally filters it because it's a bioreactor, and then the overflow of that floods 2 trenches in our front lawn that are designed like swales, so it's the same level. So when it fills up on one side, it makes a river that goes to the other side, and we have a bunch of fruit and nut trees and shrubs planted in that. And we have during heavy rainfalls, none of the water reaches the road. So where every other project has these little ponds that overflow, we've always seen rivers, and we've never seen it hit the road, and all of that goes into the soil, and then all of a sudden for 7 days after, it could be dry, and that soil is moist, and those trees are loving it.
How did you get the grant from London? Like, do you propose a plan like this to them, or?
So they put out, like, they have a rain garden program. And London Environment Network is a great organization that organizes and leads that. But they put out the opportunity for people to propose their ideas. And this is considered a bioswale. It was the first one they've ever seen proposed. But it's, like I said, the whole focus of it is to try to reduce the amount of water that goes into stormwater drains. But then we saw it as a way to leverage us not having to water our plants, but also to be able to make a thriving orchard in our front lawn. And we currently only have about a year of growth in that. But if we ever move out, we also are looking for the future. So in 10 years, there could be a family in there, and they could be providing themselves food in the city. And even providing enough where they could sell enough to potentially make an income, or just be donating it. And that's something we did this year too. So in our backyard, we have this very efficiently designed way of growing produce. And we have a bunch of strings that hang on our south side of our house. And we had 8 feet tall by 40 feet long, all pole beans.
Yeah.
And we grew, I don't even know how much, but we sold so much we were able to donate $400 to the food bank.
Wow.
That's
amazing, man.
And we were able to eat some, but we were able to donate and give back to the community.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just saying, do you find like a difference in like the food when like you grow it yourself and how it tastes versus like if you were to go to a store or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing like going in your backyard and just picking something and just eating it. Like before you even go inside and cook it, you just go out there for a treat.
Yeah.
And then you cook it and you know where it came from. You know what goes into the soil. And that's a problem with the food that we do eat. Even the produce that we see at the grocery stores, it's covered in toxins and it's been grown in toxins. So being able to connect with the food and how it's ethically grown is important. And that's why these regenerative farms, there's not enough of these that exist, where people can come out and see how the food should be raised and then being able to buy that food that's going to heal them and their families.
Has the city tried to check in on you to see if it was successful with with that permit they allowed you?
The bioswales? Yeah, they did check in. They love the fact that no water comes off of our property, and we have both of our eaves troughs. We have about a 1,200 square foot footprint that all goes into that swale, and none of that water comes off the property, which is powerful.
Sweet.
And it was cool because we actually had our neighbor's garage eaves trough that went into our backyard and caused a flood one year. So it's just the power of what downspouts can do for damage, not just for safe stormwaters, but for neighboring houses.
Oh, okay.
So this solves it all.
Yeah. I love it.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And it's a very beautiful space to go. Like when in the summer, when we have it thriving, they're just these little tiny swales that are just covered in, and we allow like a lot of wild native plants to grow through. And it's just, the one time I went out there, I think there was like 1,000 bees within 10 feet of me.
Wow.
Everywhere. So they're just pollinator like havens. It's incredible.
So I feel like it's one thing to break that barrier to like transform yourself, but like what made you feel like you need to now like respect the land, the water, the way you're handling the plants? Like is that just a domino effect? Or
I think it's a domino effect. I just connected to the food, and I wanted to connect where it came from, and then everything that we need to survive, which is food, water, shelter. Those are the 3 things we're trying to redesign, and we're making great headway on it. And even the fact that we created this urban homestead and a showcase to show what people in the city can do, because there's so many people in the urban setting that have land that could design their homes to produce food for themselves or an income for others. And then they can heal ecosystems. They can create habitats for squirrels. They can watch the birds, like even just going out, and we have like so many birds that just exist on our property now. And they're comfortable with us. We sit out there and it's like peaceful. We're in the middle of the city. We hear cars, but we also just admire the birds. Something that's simple that we kind of often look past.
Yeah, you become one with everything around you.
Yeah.
Like the little cat over here, Ninja, is just outside, roaming around, loves people. Like it's just so special to see that. Like we're not just humans. Like we're with everything. Like with everything too. Nature, water, the cat. Like it's special, man. It's really special.
In order to heal our ecosystem, we have to heal our ecosystem.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good line.
That's a clip for sure. Would you say that like your inner child is happy with the man you are right now?
Oh, tremendously, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's other things that have come up since then. Like I went on a vision quest and came up with these incredible stories on how we can educate children on the way to respect and learn from nature. And it was because I dove back into memories of when I was influenced as a child and being read to by my mother. And that was something that now I'm able to bring to life, something I enjoyed doing, getting read to. I'm able to create children's books, and then people can now read those to their children. And I'm excited for the day that I can read them to my children.
That's amazing.
That's special. So yeah, you do feel like did you ever see that this was gonna be you when you were young? Like
No.
No.
And that's I don't remember much from my past, and that was a problem too. I suppressed a lot from when my father passed, and I found that when I started to calm the mind and clear it, I started to be able to dive into memories. I've had moments where I've dove into so many deep memories that were positive, because most of the memories I ever had were bad of my father. And then coming out like so vulnerable and so happy, but so full of tears that it's just powerful that we are able to actually access old memories and be inspired by them, and then go deeper and even look into the future.
It's crazy how powerful the brain is in the mind and us. Like, you know what I mean, to dive into like old memories, like those things stick with us and they're innate in us. And I read one somewhere where it's like from 0 to 3, those are probably the most important years of your life, and those really kind of dictate like maybe the things you'll get into or whatever, like whether you're loved or held or like, but like those core things. Yeah. So the brain's crazy, bro.
I remember when I was a kid, I was always playing with like connects. I was always building stuff, and you'd get connects and you get the instructions of like, hey, this is what you're gonna build, and I'm like, no. Like, I got the pieces. I can build something else.
Yeah.
And then I remember my grandma always every time she'd babysit us, she'd take me and my brother here on tractor, and she'd buy us like a little tractor toy. Yeah. And then we assembled this like farm setup, and like we weren't farmers, but we just had a bunch of these tractors, and I loved playing with them. And I think of even those little tiny things influenced me to like have a passion for pursuing that.
Yeah. Like we had a guest on the podcast, and she said that like what you're doing as a child, like if you can do the same thing, like you said, in the farm, like, or when you're an adult, you're kind of like living out what you've always wanted, but you never actually expressed. You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting.
And it's a problem too, because it's normalized to suppress those child instincts. Like we often are told to grow up, and then we are supposed to lose touch with the ways that we were as a child. And when we're bored, like when we were children and we were bored and we weren't given things to stimulate us as a kid, we had to imagine, we had to create our own games. And that was what sparked those creative thoughts. And now as adults, when we're bored, we go on our phones or we distract with social events, which social events are great, but sometimes they become habits too.
Yeah.
And we also now I'm seeing are passing that distraction on to the children coming up, and they're not given that opportunity to be bored and to create and to find interest.
Yeah. And do you have like a restriction on how often you're using your phone? Like do you go, like, do you schedule that, or is it just naturally
it's become now a flow where I'm not too deep into it, but like I had to almost block everything, had to shut it all off. And now I have no notifications ding on anything on my phone. I can't be distracted. If I ever want to see something, I just have to go into it. And even having thoughts, like when I have an idea, like if something comes to mind, like I have to do something, I always used to just try to remember it, and I used to cloud my memory. One of the most impactful tools I found is anytime I think about something, I put it in a Google Calendar task for that day. And maybe I don't do it that day, but at least it's written down. It's out of my mind. Even when you're laying in bed, if all of a sudden something comes to mind, put it on your phone. Keep everything out of your mind. Your mind should be focused on the present and the visions.
That's probably my biggest problem. Honestly, I'm just like, I gotta do this today, this today. And it's just like, no, thanks for that advice. Cause like letting it all out, like why use this as a storage? Like, no, right?
It's not meant to. If anything, it's meant to store your memories and then to be able to access them.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you've that's been super impactful in the way you are now? Like that you do ritually every day?
Ritually every day, I focus on being present. Present is a big one. Present with my fiance, soon to be wife. When we have conversations, I'm present with her, with you. I'm focused on you. I'm focused on this conversation. Nothing else outside of this room matters. And in knowing that we don't know when we will pass. Every moment is special to me. So this moment is extremely special to me.
Yeah.
No, me too.
Of course. And I guess let's get lovey-dovey here. Like, when did you know you wanted to propose to your wife?
I knew it was meant to be when I first met her. I just knew, I didn't know what road it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was a long road, which it all is. And all of a sudden we came out of hell together, and we had this deep connection through pain, but we were working on it together and healing.
Yeah.
And when we finally got to this place where we were so connected and so thriving in our space, I was like, I knew this was the one for me.
Yeah. And I think that's special as like men to speak about that. You know what I mean? Like we live in a culture where it's like, oh, like commitment is kind of looked down on. Like you're staying with one girl or being with one like woman, and yeah, I think it's valuable to speak about the power of women, you know what I mean? And how strong they could make a man. Right. So like,
yeah, women are very supportive if they are supported back.
Yeah.
We have to give them support, and they have their own dreams, they have their own visions. We have to be there for them and allow them to pursue those as well. And we as men are meant to be the ones to create and to protect. And sometimes we look past that and we just suppress, and we stay stagnant, and we don't allow ourselves to thrive, which then doesn't allow our family to thrive.
Yeah. And I agree with that. Like the more you, especially when I got married, I don't know what it was, bro, but like you feel like, okay, like now it's like I'm so responsible now, you know what I mean? Like so it's one of those things where it's like I have tried to put myself at a higher standard for us and our family, and I see her now, like I see things that she never knew about herself come out that are so special. Like she's now like she loves entrepreneurship, she loves this, she loves that, when back in the day she would just like, 8 to 4 and that's it, and then just relax. But now she's opening her mind to like, I don't want to say through me and my leadership, but it's like that standard I'm setting for myself, and I still have a lot of work to do. I'll be honest, but like it's I like to talk about this as well on the podcast, because like I feel like it's important for a young man to see the value in that, and not just always going out and getting that, you know.
I think having like getting married or having a partner and committing yourself to a person is like very important. Like you said earlier, most people are like, oh, how many people are you sleeping with, this and that. That doesn't matter at the end of it, because once you build that love and that connection, it's something that, as you said, I feel really does propel a person.
And we just talked about how special people are, and how like consciously special, like we're all valuable. So like think about the value you're giving someone else when they're so dispersible. You know what I mean? It's like you're not really valuing it. It's the same thing, like you flip the floors, you know, change the like new month, new you. Like no, but it's like you gotta value and treasure it. And that's why I loved about your idea with maybe hosting a podcast on the land that's gonna grow as you grow in the podcast. That's so beautiful. You'll touch on that a bit.
Yeah, so our plan with the rural property, once we acquire the rural property, we have this vision of creating a podcast called Pasture Ponderings, and it's just me and whoever our guest is. It could be my wife, it could be one of the guests in a regenerative farm, it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be specific to a regenerative farm, but it's in front of this landscape that at the start will be what it is when we acquire it, and then over the years as we continue to host these podcasts, you will see the evolution of the farm in the background.
That's beautiful, bro. And imagine seeing like episode 1 to episode like 10,000.
And we could have the cows walking it in. Like we could have.
It'd be awesome even too, just planting a tree like that day, and then just having that tree grow with the podcast, and then by like whenever people are like, wow, I remember when that tree was just a sprout or something. You know what I mean? That's such a great idea. Or even
at the beginning of every podcast, we plant one thing.
That'd be super cool.
And I feel like people don't have that patience, but that's like the actual value. You know what I mean? It's like the patience and seeing it like grow. Instead of like, oh, I need to get 1 million views. This like we used to got caught up in the numbers, you and I. Like the whole team, we used to be like, oh, we need this, we need that. But now it's just like, you know, we're gonna get there. Just consistency, bring in the content, like the good content, like meaningful content, and we found that's been, we feel more fulfilled, but also the people listening are actually happier with the content we're putting out. You know what I mean? It's like not rushing things.
Provide the value and the rest will come.
I love this, bro. This was super sick. I wanted to ask, with you wanting to do a podcast, do you like, is this because you want to share the information with everybody, or do you feel like this is something that you've always wanted to do?
I've loved talking in this setting, and I found like I had that passion when I was in the party scene. I love just socializing and talking to people, and then in that setting it was toxic, and then outside of that I'm like, how do I continue to do that but in a way that's positively impactful? So these kind of conversations are incredible. I love sitting and talking to people in specific fields, like you in your field wanting to grow your media business is incredible, and then you have the entrepreneur side as well, and the interest of healing yourself, just understanding people deeper. We all have value to share, and I learn just as much from you as you will from me.
It's a very undervalued currency, you know, just talking to people and just like really like listening and being present. Because like usually, I won't lie, like you talk to people and you're not there. Like, you know, you're kind of just talking, rushing, okay, whatever. You go home and you're like, oh, did I say the right thing? Well, maybe you didn't because you weren't there. Like, you know what I mean?
And so once you say something, just forget, like move on, forget it. That was the past. Don't harp on the past. Just focus on the present. I used to get in my mind, and I'm sure we all do. We do something, I'm like, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? It doesn't matter. Even the person that you think is judging you based on what you said, they've likely forgot. You're the only one still currently thinking about it.
Yeah. That's so true. Was it you that told us that? I think on Mike's event, or I heard something similar where it's like you can't let it just like stick in your mind, because by the time you're thinking about it, the other person doesn't even know. You're the only one trapped in your own little like head
bubble.
And it's the same when you're sitting in those moments, like in the cold plunge, and those distractions are coming in and you let them flow out. Those are the same distractions, like the voice inside your head talking, or the ones that are saying the doubtful things, like don't pursue these projects, don't harp on that thing that you said. Someone's probably judging you based on it. Forget those. Let those drift. They don't mean anything to you. They don't do anything positively in this present moment.
I agree. Well, is there anything I guess you would like to like promote or let our audience know, like specifically?
So I guess we're excited about this sanctuary, hosting these retreats. This is currently just the beginning. We're hosting here, and we plan on hosting these same events, but even more in depth on our properties at the Regenerative Farm. And that Regenerative Farm, I'm persistent. I've been pursuing it for about 2 years, refining the vision, meeting the people that are going to bring it to life with the advisors. Currently, we're looking at acquiring property within our means of what we have for capital, but we see so much potential, and I also see the potential in collaboration. So I love to even connect with investors that are looking for alternative ways to generate income, not just short term, the ones that want to make an impact, but also have something long term that's going to sustain them financially and even provide for their family potentially.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the
connected with investors would be a big one. Yeah. Like there's so much opportunity out there, and the projects that we're pursuing are new. There's something that's not really done, and that's why I'm excited to bring it to Ontario.
Yeah.
It's groundbreaking. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I love it.
I guess we could probably wrap it up there.
Yeah, no,
to be honest, like that was a great conversation, bro. And Aaron, thank you so much for this experience. Like I said, it's been a blessing. We'll definitely we'll come back. We'll be back. Sure. We'll have you back, and we would love to talk about maybe like promoting your stuff more or working together down the line. But thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's meant a lot to me.
No, same here. I can't wait to do it again, honestly.
And this place too, the sanctuary, there's so much healing that occurs here, and we've experienced it today, and we experience it with our participants with our retreats. And that's another thing. If anybody is ever interested in healing themselves or pursuing further their passions or ideas, these events are for it. The retreats that we host or the wellness events that will come on the Sundays. Yeah,
no, we'll definitely add the link so that the people listening can actually like sign up and explore that stuff. But again, thanks again, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been a blessing of an episode.
Right.
Cheers.